Yeah, thanks for having me here today. I guess it's a little bit loud, I'm not sure. So happy to talk about this topic today of sustainability and innovation and sustainable logistics, because it's something that all our customers, all our stakeholders, our investors are very keen to understand better, and they want to collaborate and work with us. So this is really something close to my heart and close to our heart. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Hartig. I'm a senior analyst in the global sector development for the engineering, manufacturing, and energy sector. And I work in a department called Customer Solutions and Innovations. And this is DHL's cross-divisional commercial and innovation unit. And it's responsible for managing around about the 100 largest and strategically most important customers, which are divided into sectors. And I'm responsible for the engineering, manufacturing, and energy sector. It's also the unit that centrally drives the innovation topics within DHL out of the DHL innovation centers. And I'm based in Bonn, actually in Troisdorf, close to Bonn, at our German innovation center. And there's two things that I actually want to talk today to you about. So one is DHL's sustainability strategy, and which we just also renewed pretty much earlier this year. And I want to show you a little bit what is already in place in terms of logistics solutions. And the other part is a bit more forward-thinking, the innovation part. So looking, okay, how does DHL tackle innovation and is trying to be as innovative as possible if it comes to more logistics or more sustainable solutions for the future. But before I keep going, I just want to show you a short video clip to set the scene a little bit. Right, so a lot of what I'm going to talk about in more detail about on the next slides, you already saw in the video. So I really like the saying, we want to turn the yellow company that you all know into a green company. And we're quite aware of the role that logistic plays in terms of carbon emissions and our responsibilities. So that's also why we as a company, we have started actually quite early to put a focus on that and really to improve also our global footprint. I mean, the good thing or the nice thing for us, of course, is that okay, we want to do this ourselves, but we also have the opportunity to support our suppliers as a service provider to also support them on their way, on their sustainability agenda. So as I said, it's nothing super new to us, but it's something that we have put an extra focus quite recently. So we were the logistics company in the world to set the target of reducing the greenhouse gas emissions by 2050 to net zero. So and also the group has decided to set the targets based on the Science-Based Targets Initiative, what we already heard quite a lot about today, and also of course to have the targets in line with the Paris Agreement and the 1.5 degree goal. So here you see the roadmap, and of course this is also nothing new to you. It's in line with the three big letters, ESG, environmental, social, and governance. Although, of course, for us the focus really lies on the environmental part, on the clean operations part. Nevertheless, I think it's quite nice. We support also the social part and the governance part by our Go programs, and next to the Go Green one, the biggest one, by the Go Trade, Go Help, and Go Teach, which we implement especially in it's like social programs we implement in developing countries. So the focus of today is really on the green part and on the decarbonization of transport. So freight transport is responsible for about 8% of the global greenhouse gas emissions, and this is actually expected to double by 2050 if we don't do anything about it. And to decarbonize transport, there's pretty much two main levers that you also see here in this S-curve. So it's either you burn less or you burn clean. Burn less, there's of course technology that helps to burn less fuel, and this is supported by better engine designs, better aircraft engines, or also vehicle engines, as well as to gain operations and network efficiencies. However, the gains that we made in the last years, they have slowed down quite a bit because the aircraft engines, they are quite as efficient as it gets. But there's also other possible ways, of course, to further improve the carbon efficiency. One we also already heard today, for example, Coca-Cola, talking about a mode shift. So whenever there's an opportunity to switch from air freight to ocean freight or to road freight, you can really reduce the carbon emission. The other part is to burn clean. So we really need to increase the share of really clean transport solutions. And we actually do not lack these solutions. It's at this point, it's more a question of really of costs as well as of investment. A very important part in this case play sustainable fuels. So fuels in which production the CO2 is already absorbed from the air. So in this way, the emission produced then by the combustion is pretty much offset, and the carbon cycle is closed in that way. So this is something super important, especially for aviation. And the good thing, of course, with sustainable fuels, with biofuels, or with e-fuels, they do require little change in the engine technologies, which is super helpful. And especially in the next 8 to 10 years, this will play a key role for us. And the good thing is they are already quite available. So then when we look into, okay, what is actually, or what can be applied, or what are we applying already? So as you saw in the videos, DHL has made the announcement that we're going to invest 7 billion in the next 9 years to reduce our emission to under 29 million tons. At the moment, we are at 33 million tons, so you might guess, okay, well, this is only 4 million tons. The thing is that there has been a need for logistics, and the emissions from logistics have been growing, especially in the last year with COVID and everything, and the growth of e-commerce. Logistics was booming, and if we wouldn't do anything about it, we would end up in 2030 by 46 million tons. So actually, in the end, it's quite a substantial reduction of then 14 million tons. So what do we have in place already? As I said, sustainable aviation fuel is probably the biggest lever. So for us, the emissions from aviations make about 2/3 of DHL's greenhouse gas emission globally. So applying SAF and applying that to the fuel blend is a big lever. And then the other one, obvious one, is the electrification of the transport and of our vehicles. So to make our fleet electric, especially in the last mile, this is going to be an important part. Our real estate, so the warehouses that we operate, to make them more climate neutral, to apply technologies, putting solar panels on the roof, or even as we had the talk today about light, just like automatic light that goes off. I mean, this is not implemented everywhere in the world. So there's quite a lot in place already. And we want to offer green alternatives for all our core business solutions applying technology. And I think this has to be done really to looking at the end-to-end supply chain. And there is, as I said, a lot where this can be done, and the most obvious one, I think also the most interesting one, is actually the mode shift. So to wherever it is possible to shift from air freight, then to road freight or to rail freight. And we see quite a great development actually in China, where there's a lot of investment in China into their rail system, which of course makes it easier. It's such a big country for us to switch from air freight to rail. Of course, it's the transportation time is longer. That is quite obvious. But our customers, we see, are willing to take that into account when they can reduce their emission. And of course, it's also much, much cheaper, which is always appreciated. So then, why? So how do we why is it this so much on our target list? So as I said, I'm also working at the DHL Innovation Center in Germany. And there we are fairly close to our customers, but also to our business units. And whenever we bring our colleagues together with our customers, or when we do innovation workshops, when we do tours, there's always the topic that comes up around sustainability. So there's always questions around, hey, what is there? Like what solutions do you have in place? What products, what innovation is there? So it's really something where we see, okay, there's such a need, not only in our day-to-day business or in our touch with the customers, but especially when they visit us at the innovation centers. And this is why we thought, okay, us as an innovation unit, so how should we look into the topic of sustainability, and why should we look into this? What we really see is that most of the customers are really at the beginning, or many of them are at the beginning of their sustainability journey. So they ask for quite a lot, but at the same time, they don't really know what they want, what is available, and of course we want to help them to give them like an overview of what is possible, especially in terms of innovative solutions. And as I said, this means getting beyond what is beyond the foundation. So what I was talking about, sustainable aviation fuel, or like the electrification of the vehicles, this is quite this is the basis, and everyone is quite aware of that. So we in the innovation unit, we want to fill that gap between what is already there and what might be there in the future. So what can be applied within the next 2, 3, 10 years. For that, we of course also need to do a stock take. So dive deep into innovative solutions that are already there, and then see, okay, how can we as DHL actually apply these solutions and scale these solutions? And this also means that we are constantly scouting for startups, especially clean tech startups. I think there's probably a few of them also here in the room today, or in the other room. But it's an ocean. It's like we did like a study, and we saw that like only clean tech startups was like 1,200 plus, and there has been such an investment also in the last years into that business. And last, it's of course all about customer engagement. So us as the Innovation Center, this is really the great platform to talk to our B2B customers, but in some cases also to our B2C customers, really when it comes to last mile deliveries. So I picked a few topics today that I want to talk about, and really explain to you some more details, so just a few solutions, just to give you an overview of what is in place and what we also do at the Innovation Center. So I'm going to talk a little bit about packaging, as well as green transport, but also about carbon neutral warehouses. So there's really cool things that can be done, for example, with IoT. And there's also this unsung hero underneath all of that, which is data. So a lot can be done today with data analytics to really drive sustainability in logistics. So the first example, it's around green packaging, and it's around the so-called reusable mother boxes. So in e-commerce, and there has been a huge boom in e-commerce in the last years, a lot of customers are quite dependent on these mother boxes that you see here, and this is for the consolidated bulk transport of the poly bags. So you know from your Zalando shipments or so ever, these plastic bags where your t-shirts are in. So they get consolidated and shipped in bulk in such boxes. But usually this is not, the boxes look a bit different. They're one way, they're single used, and they actually get thrown away after they're used, and which is also quite costly. And of course, it creates an environmental waste, what we of course don't want to have. So we collaborated with a startup called Conpearl and created these green boxes, which is a circular solution for reusable boxes. So these boxes are durable, they're foldable, and they are equipped with a visibility tracker. So we always know that those boxes don't get lost, and they're implemented into a circular cycle. This actually saved costs around €4 per transport, as well as 8 to 10 ton of eliminated waste that was corrugated. And it's a circular solution. It's supposed to be applied for 10 plus years. And it really needs only small changes into the existing supply chain. Of course, the return of the mother box is a question, but this still, even doing that and even setting up the logistics for that, still saved cost, and more importantly, it reduced waste. Then another example, more looking into the green transport, is a trailer. So the thing is with trucks, and as you can imagine, there's always an inherent active load, which is around 0.4 kilowatts in their standard operation. So this is for running the equipment as the stereo, as the heating, as the satellite navigation, but of course in logistics, especially also for additional activities such as tail lifts or as deck lifts, or the cooling for fridges, stuff like that. And this adds, of course, to the initial load and draws energy from the vehicle. In the end, of course, also drawing gas, because this was run by the combustion engine. So the idea here was, or what a trailer did, was simply applying these solar mats that you see up there on top of the vehicle, and then playing from that into the battery system. So the solar power generated supports all these onboard activities that I just explained. And by that, this resulted in reducing CO2 emissions as well as the fuel by 3 to 7%, which of course sounds, it's not too much, but of course if you scale it, it's quite a lot, it's quite substantial. And the cool story here is also this was really driven out of our DHL startup lab in cooperation with the Innovation Center. So it was 2 colleagues from a supply chain, I think Singapore. They had the idea, they did a lot of their own testing and developing. They went into the accelerator program, and then 2 years ago, we spun them off as an own little company. And it's really amazing to see that this is being implemented not only with DHL, also with other logistics companies all over the world. So quite a nice example of how to scale innovation projects. Another one that I really like is Green Plan. So Green Plan is also was an internal startup that was tackling this 100 years old logistics problem of the traveling salesman. So finding the best route to drop off deliverables. And what Green Plan did, they created a quite powerful algorithm together with the University of Bonn and the Math Institute there, which is quite renowned, to find the most efficient and also the cleanest way for a route that has the least CO2 emission. And it also takes into account specific parameters also for electrical fleets, such like the range limit, and really always provides the best route, or gives cleaner alternatives to even a faster route. And it can be broadly applied in last mile, in road freight, also for field services. So the cool thing here, I think, is that the idea was never to save cost in the first place. It was really to save the emission. That's also why they came up with the name of Green Plan. And it also has it provides visibility on the carbon footprint of the route, as we also talked about, of course, the carbon reporting, the visibility of the carbon emission, something quite important that gets tackled with this solution. Another one is what just quite recently, we actually ordered 12 fully electric e-cargo planes named Alice, and those are rather small planes. They're flown by one single pilot. They have a load capacity of 1,200 tons, and they can fly up to 815 kilometers. So, but it's really, of course, fantastic because it's the first time that we use like fully electric aircrafts. And this is, of course, it will be applied next year more to feed into our central hubs in Cincinnati and in Leipzig, where most of our express network operates out. But it's really like, I was very happy to actually see this applied. So we were talking about electric planes for quite some time, but I believe we were the first one to actually applying them. So this is really, cool stuff, I think. One of the last solutions I want to say is then going into the warehouse networks, talking about the HVAC energy monitoring. So this is something more needed in the warmer parts of the world, and what you see here is actually from a pilot that we started or that we currently run in Singapore, where we applied an IoT solution, so a number of different sensors to the HVAC system, so to the different cooling fans and to the pretty much to the whole cooling system in the warehouse. And the nice thing also here was that we collected a bunch of data through these sensors, and we actually matched this data also with the weather forecast, so to anticipate the changes in the weather, and by that like making changes to the cooling system. For example, when we know that it's going to rain, then less cooling is needed in front of the automatically opening doors. So it's quite basic, but this was only done through also through applying machine algorithm and data analytics. And we generated energy savings of 20 to 30%, as well as 15% cost savings. So it's not only an environmental impact, but also a cost impact. And also saved 700 tons of CO2 annually. So one of the many projects that we run in this direction, where we see a mix of IoT, of data analytics, and really of applied innovation. And the last solution or case that I wanted to present is about also using data analytics for supply chain optimization. It was with a leading airline in Asia, for which we do the provision of these in-flight products that you can purchase, so the beverages or the amenity kits, all that stuff. And the airline had a quite inefficient distribution network. They always sent all the global purchase to Australia, and then from there outbound to the next countries. And what then our data analytics team in Singapore started, they started to collect all the data from these purchases on the flights. They created a robotic process automation tool. With this RPA, created a new data set, which they then analyzed, and they created sort of like a digital twin of the flight network, and then were able to say or to provide the best routes for the planes and also the best provision of the goods at the respective airports. And this is, of course, from the first point you would say, okay, this saves costs, this saves time, this saves space, but in the end, of course, it also saved a lot of fuel and reduced emissions. So this is what I like. So it's not only about these direct impacts. There's a lot of indirect impact to the smaller solutions that can be applied in logistics. Here you see a little bit of how like how we drive such innovation projects, and of course it depends on the scale of the project. But As I said, we're quite close to our customers at the Innovation Center. We're also close to our business unit colleagues, as well as to the startups, to the technology provider. So we do a lot of researching, a lot of scouting, and then we look, okay, what is an interesting project that helps our customer, that helps also our operations. We then do a proof of concept. If that really works out, it goes into production and then it gets scaled. And of course, there's a lot sometimes lost on the way. We look into various projects, but in the end, from the solutions that I just showed you, really great stuff can come out in the end. So where do we do this? We have 4 global innovation centers. As I said, I'm based in the European center, close to Bonn. We have one in the Americas, in Chicago, one in Singapore, and just in about 2 weeks or so, 2-3 weeks, we're going to open our Dubai Innovation Center in the Middle East. Really, they're focusing on the energy customers. And last, what I just wanted to show you is what we also develop is this logistics trend radar. And sustainable logistics, in my opinion, it's one of many trends that you can see here. I think, of course, it should be much more prominent because it has a much bigger impact than many of the other trends. Nevertheless, this is a report that we publish every 2 years, and it gets updated quite regularly. And there's a lot of interesting insight, not only into sustainable logistics, but of course also into robotics and automation and data analytics. And that was it from my side. Thank you.